Welcome to WOW, where we hold vibrant conversations with women of wit and wisdom who are living radiantly resilient. This program's for individuals who desire to rise and thrive, to live their most authentic, radiant, and empowered life. I'm your host, Elizabeth Massey. Welcome. Welcome to WOW. Today's program will uplift and inspire you. Have you ever met someone who is completely alive, engaged, optimistic, and so full of life that it inspires you to go out and do something absolutely amazing? Well, I have. And that's why you are listening to today's episode of WOW. Let me first introduce author of Why Not Always Ask for What You Want, Teri Leigh Rouse. I'm going to ask her a few questions, and then I'm going to have Teri introduce her muse, Beverly Kievman Copen. Teri Leigh Rouse has been a professional journalist in the radio industry for more than 25 years. She has a degree from San Diego State University in journalism. Much like Beverly, she thrives on asking questions to understand the world around us. She is truly fascinated by others. Writing, travel, photography, animals are her top interests. She too has learned more than she could possibly imagine from Beverly Kievman Copen, and is one of so many who have been changed for the better, having known her for more than 10 years. Would you please tell us a little about why not always ask for what you want before you introduce us to our inspiring muse, Beverly Kievman Copen?
Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Absolutely. I will preface this with the fact that I thought about writing about Bev almost a decade ago when I first met her. She had started a relationship with my dad in the mid-70s, and that's how I first met her, because they were together and I would come and visit. And we started talking, and I was immediately fascinated by her. It didn't take long for me to realize that this was something. I've always wanted to write a book, and for years and years and years. As a journalist, that's something we all think about. And maybe 10 years ago, I thought Beverly is an amazing subject. Not only her life, but her friends. She's got amazing friends. And I just had this vision of a book, and quite frankly, a movie about her life. I thought it was truly fascinating. I don't know why it took me so long to ask the question. I think it was everything that was going on in my life at the time, and I want to ask her to write this book, and I want to get her help in helping me move forward. So I'll get to that in a moment, and I know that's something that you want to talk about, but as far as the book, it has been an evolution. I really envisioned it as a biography. And unless you're Elon Musk, that doesn't really pan out very well. I talked to Beverly about it quite a bit, and I kept telling her, she can tell you, I kept saying, I don't want this to be a how-to book. I don't want it to be a how-to book. That's what you've done. I want this to be about you and your vision and your life. And as we started going through it, we really realized that Beverly's life is a how-to. She is a how-to person. She has taught people how to live their life based on how she's lived hers. And she's been able to focus her life on moving through things that are complicated, that are difficult, that are good, that are bad. And in being that way in her life, she has shown other people how to do their life and how to get there. And so I think that is when the transition came, where I went from, okay, I'm okay with getting away from the biography and moving on to not just the biography, but also the how-to kind of mentality, the self-help. How can we turn this into something that is beneficial to people that don't know Beverly? And we'll never have a chance to get to know Beverly. As much as I know that she'd like to meet them, reality isn't reality. So we started turning it into something where we thought, okay, her philosophy is why not? And her philosophy is ask for what you want And that title took us a long time to come up with, believe it or not. If you go through the book, you see it everywhere. And for
Right.
some reason, it really took us a long time to get to that. I'd go on my walks and I'd be, I don't know,
Right,
be your
exactly.
best self, be your this, be your that. I don't know. And I don't even remember when the transition happened, but it was organic and it just kind of came out. And all of a sudden, we're like, this makes sense. So
Mhm.
the book is about an extraordinary woman's life, her ups, her downs, her successes, her failures, her incredibly exciting adventures, like asking for what she wanted with the interview with Indira Gandhi, India's prime minister years ago. I mean, come on, she asked for what she wanted and she got it. The other part of this along those lines is you can ask for what you want, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get it. And that's okay.
And that's okay too. Yeah.
That's okay too.
Yeah.
That if you can ask all day and you may not get it, but that doesn't mean you don't keep trying. Doesn't mean you give
Right.
up on
You
whatever
don't
it
give
is.
up and you keep pivoting. That's the book, as you know, I stayed up till 5 a.m. To read it, and I was under writing notes and doing the things in there. I was like, she's so amazing. And I totally agree with you about how you feel about Beverly and what you write about her in the book, because she is one of the most vibrant, actually the most vibrant, alive, engaging, wise, encouraging, inspiring individuals that I have ever met. And when you read about all of the things that she's done in her life, I mean, from being, I call it a serial entrepreneur, to
That's
all the
right.
different
That's right.
businesses, to pivoting, to reinventing herself. Because one of the things that I do is I help people through their grief and loss and their transitions. Not everybody can transition so well. And a lot of it has to do with your mindset and what you feel in control of, or fear of failure, or feeling like a failure because things didn't work out. And one of the most beautiful threads throughout the entire book is that it's not a failure. When something does not work out the way it's supposed to in your mind, it is still not a failure, because there are so many things that you've learned from it that you can take into the future. And I love this because it's such a legacy of how she has lived her life. It's full of substance, it's full of inspiration. And I'm just totally excited of how you have been able to take her life and just pour it out on the pages of our heart. You really have done a great job in capturing the essence, and we'll talk about that later, the essence of who Beverly is. And great job, Terry. It's
Oh, thank
amazing.
you.
And
I
you
really
have
appreciate that.
such an amazing woman as your
Well,
subject.
you know what's funny? It's 300 pages long. I know there's some pictures in there, but I still don't even think we covered everything that she's done. I mean,
Absolutely.
she, when I was interviewing her, there would be times she would all of a sudden go, well, yeah, and then there's this board, and then there's this, and I said, well, you didn't tell me about that. Trying to encapsulate her life into 300 pages was definitely a task. I loved every minute of it. Don't get me wrong, but it was definitely a task.
She's one of the most interesting people that I've ever met.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I knew she was going to be the subject of a book. I just knew it, and I wanted to be the person to be able to show who this person is. And
Yeah.
I've gotten to know her so much better, and just am in more in awe and inspired by her, and love her more today than I did 2 years ago.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot. And I love it because you have a personal relationship and a professional relationship, and it just keeps unfolding and just keeps getting better. I mean, she's better than an aged wine. She just gets finer and finer.
She's amazing. Can you? I mean, look at her. Can you believe she's 87?
Actually, I told Craig this the other day. I said, she is my shero. Now, I don't say that lightly,
No.
seriously, because I've looked up to people, and there are people in my life that can speak into my life that I admire and that I respect, and but I have not met anyone like Beverly, and it's the first time I can actually say I have a shero.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
I
You're gonna break her heart. You know that.
do.
She's gonna start crying.
Yeah, I will too in probably about 5 minutes. So,
um,
go ahead.
I don't know if you I just wanted to kind of explain a little bit about how I ended up asking her, if that's okay, in
Yes,
terms of
please.
how I got to the point of I had gone through, and it fits right in with I want to read up on your stuff too. I got to tell you, because I was going through a lot. It was right around the time of COVID. My mom was getting sick. She was not doing well at all. I was put into a caretaker role, which I would never wish on anyone. And I had a family that was in denial about her state. And my mom is my favorite person on the planet. She was my biggest cheerleader. I just absolutely adored her. And I went through a lot. It was not fun. It was not, and I'm not going to go into examples, but I think you can probably get it going to the extreme.
Yeah, I took care of my dad.
And
I understand.
yeah, and to have denial from the people who were responsible, meaning my stepdad and my brother, it was a really, really difficult time.
Yeah.
I took family leave and cared for her, and in the middle of family leave, I got laid off from my job, which was a good thing and a bad thing. That's neither here nor there, but I got laid off from my job when my mom passed, which was traumatizing, absolutely traumatizing after everything I'd been through. I had some disconnect with the family, just a lot. I think everybody was trying to place, it happens when somebody passes and there's just so much. My mom was my stepdad's world, bar none, and he was just having a really difficult time. So was I.
Which is natural.
Anyway, yeah,
it's supposed to be tough.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing that when you have such a significant relationship, significantly close attachment like that, when there is a physical separation, whether you believe she's going to heaven or not,
I know that.
It doesn't matter. You know that it's in your heart. It in some ways it makes it easier, but it does not make the pain any less when we're dealing with the day-to-day, the calls, the encouragement, that attachment, the I love yous, the hugs, the support that you're looking for, because you're not going to have that in the physical anymore. And so when they die, you're saying hello to goodbye. That's a tough place to be, especially when you have so many other layered losses on top of it. And I have found in my professional career and personal life that most times it's weird. When it rains, it pours. It's not just the one thing. I mean, you had the COVID,
absolutely.
your mom, you had your family. And when there are any difficult family dynamics that are going on, they are put under a magnifying glass on steroids.
Right.
You've got something like this going on. So my heart is with you. You have been through a lot.
Well, then I was not working for a little while. I ended up working with a friend just to bring some money in. That was a terrible, terrible situation. It was a friend of a friend. It was my friend's fiance, actually. And he's two people. He's one person at work and he's one person at home. And it was a very, very volatile environment. And in the middle of that, I had to put down one of my beloved cats. And I'm sorry, but it was two days before the year anniversary of my mom's passing. So
that's the shadow grief.
It's all compiled, right?
Yeah, I was not crazy.
Yeah, I know. So, and I was not taking very good care of myself at the time, which I walk 2 to 4 miles a day. Not right now, I have a broken leg, but I normally do. And then I got laid off from his job. So it just was a time when it was an architectural firm and things were not, I wasn't supposed to be there as long as I was, and I was kind of hanging on. And it was right after that I said, you know what? I need change. Something's got to change here. I'm a strong person. I've got a strong character, but I've had enough. I can't go through this anymore. I'm literally not taking care of myself. I'm going down a really bad path and I need change. Yeah. And so I said, you know what? I need Beverly. And now she didn't know at the time what my plan was. So I said, well, hey, I think I'd like to come out and visit you and Dad in the spires in Rome. I haven't been there yet. So can I come visit? And I found this really cool Airbnb there that's up the hill from them. It's got this beautiful view of the valley. And so I went there, and then I came in, and first thing Beverly says, I told her, I said, I'm lost. I don't know where to go. I don't want to go back to corporation world. I don't want that. I've been there, done that. I'm 60 years old. I need change. I have some goals in my head. I don't know how to make them happen. And she said, take my book. It's Your Life. What is it again, Beverly?
It's Your Life, isn't it?
It's Your Life, isn't it? and go read it. I said, okay. So I did.
Listen to her. I mean, it's clear she knows what she's doing, even when we
Okay,
don't.
I'll do that. So I
Right?
read it in one day, went up to the Airbnb. It's a beautiful place up there. Had, sat there and read the whole book. And I actually, which this is part of why, because I have always been the person who doesn't read the last page when it gives me all these things to do.
I was like, I don't have to
Here
do
I've got a
that.
book
I don't
that's
have to do
asking
it.
that of people. But
She said, read it,
I
not do it. No.
I did it with her book. So I put down a bunch of short-term and long-term goals. And so I went back and I was sitting there with Beverly and my dad, and I started reading the goals. And it was my short term, and I read a couple of them, and then I said, write a book about Beverly, and I looked at her, and I could tell she kind of went, what? And I said, write a book about you, and you could tell she was a little bit surprised by that, and we I let her process it, and I kept mentioning it again every once in a while that I wanted to write this book about her life. And pretty much by the end of the weekend, I would say Beverly agreed that she would let me do it. And I literally was in her apartment and started jumping up and down, just like, yeah.
And let it has that effect on us. Yes.
So that's how it transpired. And literally within a couple of weeks, I said, let's start doing interviews. And that's how the whole thing, I was in such a bad place. This was going to be a great way for me to focus on something that was positive, focus on something I really wanted, something that was in my heart, doing something for somebody else. And now realizing that this is not only a labor of love of Beverly, but it's, I hope, our true hope is that it's going to help other people find where they need to go. That would be her greatest joy, is that someone.
I'm absolutely certain that it will. And would you please introduce us to Beverly
Yes,
Kievman Copen?
the extraordinary, the
Yes.
fabulous Beverly Kievman Copen. Hello, Bev.
Hi, Jerry. Can I mention what my first reaction was when you said you wanted to write a book about my life?
Absolutely.
I laughed with my silly laugh. Why would anybody want to read it?
She did. I remember that.
Yeah,
I'm in shock.
Then I listened to what I was saying, and I stopped back, took a deep breath, and said, Teri, I am truly honored. And the answer is yes.
It's so beautiful. Well, Beverly, tell us a little bit about your life. Why you're an extraordinary person. Would you please tell the audience actually some of the things that you have done in your life?
Well, I can make it a little summary at the moment.
Sure.
I think of myself as an entrepreneur, an author, and a photographer. And that's what I have on my business card. So that I will be able to do whatever I want to do, and it would come under one of those categories.
I love it.
And so I don't know how to tell you a brief thing about my life, because you will ask some other questions and I could easily more fit in some of the things that would be especially appropriate for that moment in time without trying to bore somebody and have them fall asleep. That would be bad. But I will tell you
that's going to happen. I think you tried. I'm telling you, this was a page turner. Your life. You're so interesting.
Well, I am just so grateful to you, Elizabeth, and Teri knows I have put it in writing how grateful I am to her for what she has created and what she has done. It's just it's amazing. And I think one of the hardest things I had to deal with is reading about myself.
Mm.
Yes. In other words, especially when she started interviewing these people, I gave her a dozen people to interview that I'd had as lifetime friends, and, somewhere between 20 and 30, some 63 years old. So, a long time. And I started reading what they had to say, and I found that very difficult to, I had to figure out how to take myself out of the picture and read what was being written as though it was someone else.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing because it was just difficult. You couldn't believe they were saying this about
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. How could they possibly be saying that? And so it was really a conscientious um, act on my part when I realized how difficult it was. And I will skip to one part, which is with relating to my two boys, because when she asked me for the names of a dozen people, where they lived and stuff like that, and she said at the end of that, "Well, how about any of your family?" And I said, "Well, it's a kind of a complex family, blended family over a multiplicity of marriages." She said, "Well, what about your two boys?" I went, "Ask my boys to write about me." All from their point of view, their life, how I encounter their life. You got to be kidding.
And I've got to tell you that that the interview with them is just moved me. They have such high respect for you, and the things that you taught them. You're just a natural teacher, and how you taught them about life and how to survive in life without saying this is what I'm going to teach you about life. You really worked it in with it, which is what you do with the rest of us. You're just a natural guide, a natural teacher, and I love it because it's the next best step. So then and then this is try this, and then once you've tried that, try this. And I recommend that, and you gently will give us things that you don't give us the answer, you show us how to get the answers.
That is a great,
Oh,
great, great
that
explanation,
that
Elizabeth.
is wonderful. That
It's
is
so
wonderful.
empowering. And that's what empowers people to believe in themselves. It's not just saying, ask for what you want. You're showing them how to do it.
Yeah. Now, what's your plan?
Yes, yes. Now it's a great idea. Now, how do you put it into action? And so that was so moving. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please keep going.
That's all right. But anyway, so when I finally agreed and about the boys, and I said I asked them, would they consider being interviewed by Teri, and they talked about it. Then called me back and said, if we could do it together, with the two of us and Teri are on the Zoom call, then we will do it. And then they did it, and I said, I don't think I want to read this, Teri. She said she printed it out. And I said, I'm afraid to read it. She said, I think you're going to like it. And so I said, okay. So she sent it to me. And it's a good thing that I had an entire box of Kleenex
Yep.
while reading.
I had mine with me too.
While reading that, because I think I went through the whole box, because I thought I was always an absentee mom. I was working all the time, and they were always with me wherever I happened to be moving and whoever I happened to be married to. They were always with me. And so I didn't know what they thought about all of that. And it was it was it was such an eye opener for all of the moms who work and don't and wonder if they are spending enough time with their children. I
Yes.
thought of that along the way, and thought maybe this will help them to realize that by acting out honorable things and clever but creative things, your children are going to learn how to do those same kind of things. So I'm hoping that that will be some kind of an inspiration to the many, many moms who are working full time.
Yes, and you are so correct about that because our children do what we do. They don't necessarily do what we say.
Mm-hmm,
They model the behavior that we have modeled for them, or they live the behavior. What they don't work out, they're going to act out, and
mm-hmm,
whatever they have learned from you, they're gonna carry on in their life.
mm-hmm,
And you showed them, and so I know it was such a relief because what they wrote about you is so amazing. So everybody listening, you really have got to get this book. There's just layer after layer of just really great treasures and nuggets
mm-hmm,
of wisdom and humor and struggle and hardship and success and triumphs. So
mm-hmm.
let's tell our audience a little bit about your marriages because you've alluded to them that you've had a number of marriages, and so kind of take us through because you've had suffered divorce, death of a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
death of a couple spouses, and so on.
Okay. I Let me start with the title,
Yes.
because that is a good place to introduce the title. When I was 15 years old, I was the sophomore in high school in Atlanta, Georgia, at Henry W. Grady High School, and I looked at how many credits I had, and I said to myself, I've got enough credits to just go right into my senior year without going and being a junior. And I said this to my mom, and I'd like to skip the 11th grade. And she said very nicely, why would you want to do this? And I said,
Why not?
why not? And I've said it all of my life ever since. But it's a non-confrontational comment. You can't say you're wrong because I said do this. It's just, why can't I do this? Why shouldn't I do this? So all the times people are always saying, "Oh, well, why would I want to do that?" The question is why not? And so that was really how title number one came to be in that. So anyway, so I did skip the 11th grade and graduated at 16
Wow.
with my sister Jackie, who's 18 months older and still alive and kicking, and so excited about this book. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, and so then I went to college for 2 years in Rollins College. I loved it, but I realized at that point I took theater arts, and I realized I really loved the theater. And then it was time for a change because I wanted journalism, and at that time Rollins didn't have journalism. So I did, in fact, um, apply to a college to in California, one of the great ones. And this is now 2 weeks before college begins. And I got accepted, and I had my plane ticket to Berkeley at the University of California for journalism as a junior. I was implying as a junior,
So at
accepting it.
16 years old, you're gonna
No,
fly
I was now 19. No, I was
19,
now 18. 18. I was now
18.
18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still very young to fly halfway around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so I got accepted, and Mom said, you can't do that because it's too far away. And said, oh, she said, I didn't say why not. I realized that she also knew I had a boyfriend out there. and, and so I had a
Like
feeling that was coming.
journalism degree.
Anyway, so with 2 weeks to go, I applied to the University of Georgia for the journalism as a junior, and I showed her I finished in 1 year.
Holy
so I
smokes.
so I combined a lot of things, and I loved being at the University of Georgia. I'm a dog, DAWG.
Oh,
I'm a dog,
yes.
but they had a great journalism school, and so I learned how to ask questions, and the things that I learned there about interviewing and asking questions as journalists do, Miss Terry. I learned how that carried with me the rest of my life. How to interview and ask questions and wait for the answer and listen to the answer, and then move forward with that. So I got a lot of. It was just something, and that's also taught me about publicity and writing press releases and all the things that go into journalism. So that was really part of how I learned to move forward with my life.
Wow.
So very simply, when I did graduate, as I said, I was still very young, and I got married a couple of years later to my first husband, the boy's father, and we married for 7 years. And so um, um, he was very interested in staying where he was at my dad's printing company, Stein Printing Company, which is where I met him. And I was already into starting my own business. When my first son Mark was 5 months old, when I accidentally started my first business. How do you
I
accidentally?
love that story as well. I mean, here you are, you're answering phones, and she's like, hey, do you like to do this now?
Yeah, yeah. So it was accidentally started my first business.
That's
Uh,
amazing. But that was in you. You had ambition, you had
I didn't know that.
yeah. Wow. It just unfolded.
It was unfolding. Yeah, it was unfolding. And so when this lady who I was answering the phone for once in a while, who had a model agency, said, do you want my business? I said, why not? And so I gave her $1 for the appropriate
Legal
thing to do.
tender.
Yeah, legal tender. Yeah. I looked in the phone book and said, well, I want to name it something different. So I started with A, with like Atlanta Models and Talent. And I had never taken a business class. I'd never taken a promotion class. I'd never taken anything to do with management of anything ever in
Wow.
all of those short terms in education. Anyway, so
You're
I
a
did what was
natural.
logical. I did what was logical. I
Wow.
thought logic was good. Anyway, so I named it Atlanta Models and Talent, and within 2 years, it was um, the largest in Atlanta.
Wow.
And there was another company that started the same time I did with 5 different divisions, 5 different people, and at the same time, in about 2 years, they closed their doors.
Wow.
And I said, I wonder what I'm doing that's different, because I had no idea. So a quick answer to the Atlanta Models and Talent, that that business I sold after I stopped managing after 10 years. I sold after 15 years. It's still in business 64 years later.
Wow.
That is pretty
Wow.
darn exciting. It really is. It really
Yes.
is.
Yes,
Yeah.
you brought it to
Yeah.
success and the longevity. I mean, what you were doing clearly
Yeah.
was successful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And I know I read in the book that you brought the film industry to Georgia.
I didn't bring it to Georgia. I followed up on making it happen, because after I decided to move forward with that, I created another company. And got I did write stories, because I knew that women, particularly back then, need to be visible. And so I was always interested in community. And I figured that's how I learned a lot about business, because I would be in an organization, and I'd be listening, and I'd figure out how to do stuff, and I'd be asked to do things. I learned more by always being involved in community than anything else I ever did. I thought that was so important. And so I was visible. That's the point. And so when Jimmy Carter, who was then governor, wanted to bring more filming into Georgia, I was, as I said, visible. And so the Department of Industry and Trade called and asked me to come in for an interview, and they asked me if I would write a plan, the business plan and a promotion plan on how do we go about doing this under the auspices of Jimmy Carter. And so that was my job, to create the plan and then to show how to get it done. So I
Did that
was
make you
became
nervous at all? Just
no,
applying
no,
to
of course not. Why would it? That's what I was doing with my model agency.
Wow. Wow.
There was a whole sequence of things. I knew how to do that.
That's amazing.
I knew how to do that. I knew how to bring business in. I was not afraid of many things. Um, anyway, I became the first film representative of Georgia. And so the funny story, I will go ahead and tell you this, and then I'm going to stop for a while, was I learned that 20th Century Fox was going to do a film in North Carolina with Sidney Poitier. And I thought, if they're going to be right next door, why don't I ask for what you want?
Right?
Would they like to come to Georgia? And so I didn't know anybody in 20th Century Fox. So I did the logical thing I could think of to do. I did some research, and I called the president of 20th Century Fox in New York City. He might have been in California. And I talked to his gatekeeper, the secretary, and told her who I was and what I wanted to talk with him about. And she put me through.
Right. Wow.
Well, I was a film
Wow.
representative saying, would you like here? I want to tell you all the things we can offer you. And
Right.
so we talked a while, and he said, would you send me a little proposal on what you all are doing now in the state of Georgia? And would you also please include a photograph of yourself? I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Okay,
Very, very interesting.
yeah, and so I did. And so a couple of weeks later, I did my follow-up, and I talked with him, and he said, I would like to know more. Would you like to meet in New York City or Hollywood, California? Think quickly.
On your feet.
Beverly. How about New York? Okay. So I met him in New York City, the president, Gordon Strulberg, in New York City at the Park Lane Hotel. And we had a lovely, lovely, lovely dinner. And we talked for hours. And the movie still stayed in North Carolina because it was planned for over a year. Little did I know. And anyway, so but many, many other things did come from that relationship with 20th Century Fox. And so I guess that gets me to one of the other points that I like to make and I want to make is that why I was never afraid to pick up the phone and call the president of a company I didn't know at all. It's just they're the ones who can make the decision.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I
People are
always,
so afraid.
well, yeah, a lot of people would not even think about that.
Yeah.
They want to go up the ladder. I want to start at the top and then have them tell them, you need to talk with X, Y, or Z person. Fine.
Mhm.
They're in charge of that. And so I'd rather come down the ladder. Anyway, that's always been something that I felt very comfortable doing. And so I will stop now and say that why don't you let me turn it over to you guys and you have some fun questions. And so I want to behave and not hog this.
if you were the type that behaved, we would not have this book.
Exactly right. I mean, you totally think outside of the box. You're not afraid. And how would you talk someone through the fear that they have
You
about,
know, Elizabeth, you just hit on something that I think is so important because, and this might come up a little later, but I'm a journalist and I had to make phone calls to all kinds of people when I was, the governor, the whoever that you need to make the phone call to. A lot of times when it was the governor, it was you didn't get the governor, you got his spokesperson or something.
sure.
And this goes to something that we can talk about a little more later, but I don't promote myself. I have a very difficult time with that. And I have a little bit of that. It takes, because it's all about, and this will come up later, I'm sure, it's about the rejection.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly right. Because
Mm,
we get rejected, oh gosh, that feeds into so many things. It could be our family of origin, it could be past experiences, it could be low self-esteem.
mhm.
Most people that I have met actually don't come into this world with high self-esteem.
Hmm.
But Beverly, you had a great foundation. You said in the book that your mother was your encourager and your business sense came from your father. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, yeah.
Some people don't have that foundation.
Okay. Well, I will start with the fact that my parents divorced when I was 12 years old. And so I lived with my mom and dad, and my dad's father had a house in Atlanta on a busy, busy street on Ponce de Leon Avenue. So my sister and I lived there for several years, and this is where the doggy comes in.
Yes, yes, I wanted
um,
to ask about grafter,
yeah, yeah,
but you can lead
and,
us into that.
yeah, and so my mother was a sweetheart. She was not a business person, but she was a beautiful pianist. She loved playing the piano. So her role during those years was to come in and entertain the dad, the father, while the housekeeper or whoever the cook was made dinner. Consequently, my mother was not permitted in the kitchen, nor was I. And you can imagine the ramifications there. We did not grow up to be wonderful chefs.
I lived that too. My mom was the same way. She was like, I want you to have a career. I don't want you to have to learn how to cook. So my late husband, who was special
Yeah.
courses, he taught me. He was like, by the end of this year, you're going to learn how to. I had such fear, I wasn't allowed. So I can totally relate to that, working through that fear.
Yeah, yeah. And anyway, so at this big house, it was up on a high hill, and my sister and I were going to elementary school. I mean, that's how young we were. Let me get you the setting. It was in the middle of World War II.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Then took a couple of years before the war ended, and so we, my dad was in the army, and he was stationed in Washington, D.C., so he didn't go overseas or anything of that nature. So he was gone a lot. But anyway, my mom was just a sweetheart. She had no business background, but she was a wonderful pianist, and she never exactly knew what I did, but whatever it was just wonderful. So
Had that
and so,
foundation of encouragement.
yeah, that was what the encourage. Yeah. And so anyway, so we were at this big house on Ponce de Leon Avenue. There was the German Shepherd who was called our shadow dog. What that meant, I learned, was that he went anywhere Jackie, my sister, and I went. And so he looked after us. So believe it or not, we would walk to about a block to the bus, the school bus. Grafter, our doggie, would go with us without a leash. And if we were running a little behind, Grafter would go jump on the bus, and they'd have to wait until we got there. And then he would jump off the bus, get us on there, and he would walk back home. And
Wow.
so that was my experience with Grafter. He just was always with us, always with us, and I loved that. Anyway, because it was in the war, at a certain point, my dad said that Grafter has been drafted to go into the army, and so we had to let him go and serve his time in the army. And
That had to be
that
heartbreaking.
was probably 30 or 40, 50 miles away. It's some army base in South Atlanta.
Wow.
And that was a heartbreaker,
Yeah.
definitely heartbreaker for both for Jackie and me.
Yeah.
Anyway, fast forward a few months is all I can say. I have no idea of the actual time frame. One day, Grafter showed up at our front door. Skinny, bedraggled, starving. How he came from however far away he was to escape and find his way home was a life lesson I will never forget, because he knew where home was and he found it. He found home. And so that led me to my thought about, as long as I know where home is, I'm okay. I can find my way back home. And so that was how that came about. And after we got him whole again, then we were advised that it was our responsibility to let him go back and serve his time in the army. And he did, and we did not ever know the end of the story. So it was only in our minds that he did his serve. Thank you for your service, Grafter. You did a wonderful job in the army. So anyway, that was how I learned to really how much home meant to me. If it meant that much to him, then it meant that much to me.
And that leads me to my next question. Where is home to you? Because you have traveled the world, you have lived in more than 14 homes, different places. You have done so many amazing things.
Mhm.
But I'm sensing that it's not a physical location.
Right, right. It's and when you walk into some place and you say, "Ah, this is now home," when you're just looking at where you might live. And it just hits me that way. This is where I want to live. And so it isn't a particular size home or physical home or view or anything. It's what you're going through at that moment in time. And that to me is what I had to look at each time I had or needed to move. What is it going to look like, and how is that going to help me to get through the good times and the not so good times? So it is not a physical location. But
Yes.
I'm so glad when GPS came in, because I could always put go home.
I love that it's a place that you know in your heart
Yeah.
and it's supposed to be. It's a knowing, and it seems like as we read through the pages of the book that you have always had this internal compass that has navigated you. And I would also sense that goes deeper, maybe into your spiritual walk or your spirituality. And
Hmm.
in the book, you had mentioned that you identify as a Messianic Jew.
Hmm.
Would
Hmm.
you please tell our readers I'm sorry, our listeners, what a Messianic Jew is, what they believe, how it is different and similar to Christianity.
I will do the best I can there, because I was born Jewish, which means I'll always be Jewish.
Yes.
And so I had a nail technician, Elizabeth. Her name was Elizabeth, and every time I went to get my nails done, she would talk to me about religion. Of course, you're captivated for the entire time you're there. So, and
You
so
definitely had a captive audience.
and so I listened to it, and I felt very comfortable with all the things she was telling me. I always prayed. I always prayed on my own, and I prayed directly to God. I didn't need an intermediary, as many religions do. Encourage you to go through a priest or somebody else. I always had a relationship with God. Now listen, uh, yeah. So,
We share that in common. It's like, hey,
Yeah, I hear you on that one.
what's
yeah.
going on here?
Directly to the
I need
source.
to go. Yes, you're exactly point on.
So there was nothing that I felt uncomfortable with. She was not a far right or far left or whatever that means. It was just a very comfortable way of dealing with prayer and Jesus and religion. And so I was I was told by someone, I don't remember who, have you ever looked into the temple here, which is a Messianic temple? And I had not. So I looked at it and I went a time into, and I found it very comfortable. I just went, I could drive, of course, at that point, and I would drive over and I would attend a couple of times. I didn't feel I needed to go there because I was so many places where there was not a Messianic temple. But I don't know how to answer the question of what it is they stand for or anything of that nature. I just know that you can be something else like Jewish, and you can still be a Messianic Jew. I guess the kind of the most ironic thing is, we'll talk more about my yayas, my wonderful yayas, whom I've had for all my life. And they are all very spiritually based. They always talking about, often when we're together, about God and about Jesus and everything. I never said a word to them about my messianic Jewish thoughts or anything until, I would say, a good 40 years later, when we were at however a long time later. I would just listen, and then sometime along the way, maybe a long time later, at one of the get-togethers that we would have at someone's home, where you can't do anything but talk to one another and make fun of one another and laugh and cry. I said, I want to tell y'all. Oh, I think it was, is there anything each one of us would like to tell someone that we've never told you before? I think that was the subject that came up. And so I think they started. And then when it was my turn, I said, I'm going to tell you something you will be very surprised at. And I told them that for X many years, I have been a Messianic Jew. And that means I believe in both Christianity and Judaism. How could you not have told us that for all of these decades?
And it's such a personal thing. And so in my understanding it is, and I have a little bit of history and background in that too, is that it's your Jewishness is enhanced because you do believe you're not waiting for the first coming of Yeshua Messiah, which means Jesus salvation. You believe that Yeshua HaMashiach is, Mashiach means Messiah, anointed one, and Ben Elohim is the Son of God. So you believe, but you don't become a Christian. A lot of people call it a completion to your Jewishness, because you have, and what a lot of people don't know is that the first disciples were all Jewish. Jesus was Jewish. A lot of people don't know that Jesus is Jewish.
Jewish.
So it's just a completion, and basically Christianity is for a Gentile belief that Yeshua is Messiah. So I love that. I love that. And their response, obviously very welcoming, and kind of, did they ask more, or was it just?
Oh yeah, we talked about it. So it was just such a wonderful experience to tell someone that can't believe you never told. But
Right?
in my work, I always believed that I don't talk about religion or politics whenever I was selling something.
Yes.
And that way I never had to answer a question about either of those two things. And so I got used to that.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
got used to that. I
Well,
didn't.
because so many people get worked up if you don't believe the way that they do, or you don't come on the same political side. And unless you know that you share the same values, it really, you're
Mhm,
not going to change their mind. They're probably not going to change your mind. And it usually brings up confrontation, which you
mhm,
are so very well at pivoting around
mhm, mhm,
confrontation. And I too share. I'm happy to share my faith when I'm coaching people, and it becomes a natural part of it. But I always am respectful of wherever the person is at and where they're coming from. I have
mhm,
no judgment. I have
mhm,
no I just bring them in. It's love. It's about love, because really in the old covenant and the new covenant, it comes
mhm,
back down to the Shema. Love
mhm,
the Lord God with all of your mind, heart, soul, spirit, and love your neighbor as yourself. And so
mhm,
it's all really about love.
mhm,
That's what you display. And that's one of the things, the characteristics that is so, because I wondered the first time that I met you, you were so vibrant. I wondered, I'm like, I know there's something more there. It's because you're alive from the inside.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when you have that kind of strength that's internal, that
Mhm,
connection that you've always had,
mhm,
with God, it just deepens and completes that.
mhm,
And my next question I was going to ask you is, um, does adversity, you've been through in the book, Teri takes us through a journey of your challenges and your triumphs. Like we've talked about, you've been a very successful, and I call it, I hope you don't mind, serial entrepreneur, because you've
I
been
love that term. I love it.
I
I've used
love
that
it,
term.
because you
Yeah.
keep reinventing yourself. And I can't wait for the people to get to this book and read all of the stuff that you've done, because we are just scratching the surface, people. It's been a great conversation. We've shared a lot, but I can't even tell you how exciting. I mean, literally, you're going page by page by page. I can't wait to see the movie. Um, so you've been that serial entrepreneur in a time where women were beating their heads against the proverbial glass ceiling. You authored 6 books,
Mhm,
and you have traveled, taught the world. You have traversed divorce, death of several spouses, health challenges of your own, and the most recent being the health challenges of your sweetheart, which is also Teri's father,
mhm.
and his declining health. So, my question, there is a question in here. Does adversity and loss get harder or easier for you to traverse because you
Say that again now. So,
does adversity and loss get
uh-huh.
harder or easier for you to traverse?
Okay. Oh, that's a great question. That is a great question. It never gets easier, but it does get where whenever would come up to a detour or roadblock, either one, then I knew that I had to figure out a way around it. I had to figure out how to manipulate this change where I can't go around it easily, and I know it's the end is stopped. I can't go over that fence. And so I had to realize that that the only way I can get through this is to make a plan. I had to figure out how to deal with, I had to problem solve. How do I deal with part A, which is the person who is ill? And how do I deal with part B, which is the getting better process or not, or leaving this earth? And I had to deal with those things. And then I had to figure out, is there anything that I can do that would help them along the way? So that occupied my mind a lot because I had the experience in knowing how to do that when my when Michael Kievman, um, my third husband, divorced first 7 years, 7 years to my second husband, but Michael was 10 years, and then he, the last 3 years of our 10-year marriage, um, was was a very dramatic um, part of diabetes really terrible diabetes, where he eventually lost his first leg, and then his second leg, and then he wasn't sure he wanted to live, and that's when I started thinking about what can I do to make him want to live again.
Yes, and I don't want you to give that away
Yeah,
because
I'm not gonna
in
not
the
gonna do
book,
that. Yeah, not gonna do that.
everybody,
Mhm,
men, women, ladies, everybody watching, you have got to read this book.
mhm,
She tells a very poignant story um,
mhm,
about hope.
mhm. About hope.
About hope. And it's really interesting because the recent work of Charles Snyder talks about hope not just being a wishful idea, it's actually an active process composed of three parts, and it's the
Mhm,
plan.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
going through the plan, and your hope changes. Like you
mhm,
said, from this, can we, can we save the leg? Okay, we can't save the leg. Okay, so we're gonna have to take that. Okay, to how can we get through this? To
mhm,
we've got the say. Okay, so your hope is constant. And then when someone's feeling hopeless, how do we help them find the will for living? How can we instill hope in others? And you do that, Teri, so well in this book through Beverly's experiences, because she has been through this. She has pivoted and planned with hope over and over and over and over and over again. And
mhm.
your resilience and your traumatic growth through these processes, it is just, guys, you got to read this book. It is
Uh,
moving. I mean, I've been doing this a long time and I'm inspired.
yeah. One of the words that Beverly often uses for herself, and is in the book, is reinvention. She has reinvented herself over and over again, depending on the circumstances that she's faced with.
Mhm,
Partly of the fact that she gets bored. I mean, she really does. She does something and she just gets bored and she's ready to move on. I love that about her. I mean,
And
that's,
it's okay. She makes it okay.
right. And also she gets confronted with tragedy and different things, and she's got to reinvent herself because of what happened with that situation. And I think that's
mhm,
an appropriate word for a lot of things that have
mhm,
happened in her life. Is she's
mhm,
realized people need to do that. They go, I mean, I'm reinventing myself. I mean, I
mhm,
really am.
mhm,
It's a huge factor. And
mhm,
And
I
I
don't know how I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, and I am too, because you change, we're not meant to stay stagnant in one place. We're not really. I mean, I think if you're going to live life, and
mhm,
this goes back, this has just been dropped in my heart so much recently, because as we were talking about our faith a little while ago, it's like Yeshua died so that we could have life and life more abundantly. It's not
mhm,
just a world of curses and a world of just surviving. And Beverly, the only thing that I would change in this book is you are not only a survivor, you are a thriver.
Mm,
You really have survived so much, but you have taken it to the next level, Teri, like what you just said. She reinvents herself and she does it over and over and over. She doesn't, you don't succumb to this one box of what it wasn't supposed to be this way. Life wasn't, you don't stay stuck there.
mhm,
You really work through, and that's what grief and mourning is. It's not getting over it, under it, around it. It's finding the strength, the hope, the resilience, and the fortitude to walk through it. And there's so many people that think you get over grief or you get over no, you have to walk
no.
through it in order to do it well so that you can do what you've done.
mhm,
Embrace life to the fullest, knowing that life is both. It is
mhm,
the sorrow, it's the grief is the other side of love, the other side of the coin. And it's like,
mhm,
how can I go ahead and acknowledge everything that I'm going through and that this really sucks, this is really tough. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And you talk about how you cope. I'm not going to get into that necessarily right now. I want people to read it because you
Yeah.
I can do all the
Leave
coaching I
something for the
want.
book. No.
I know exactly. I'm trying not to give too much away. You might edit some of this out, but I'm just so amazed that you do. You walk through. You embrace both. You embrace the sorrow. You embrace the tragedy. You embrace the feelings and you work through it, you reinvent yourself, and you give yourself time to do both. And so my question for you, Teri,
Yeah.
is how is your relationship with how is your relationship with Beverly and her inspiring vibrance helping you with your father's health challenges?
Um, that has been a very, very interesting topic. And I think that in writing this book, we've all discovered some things that were not known. And Beverly, I can't speak for her directly, but we've had conversations that some things came to light for her as we were going through this, as I asked her questions about what was happening. I didn't really know. I know my dad very well. I understand him very well. She and I have communicated about some things that, you know, personal things between us that we share. One thing that I would say has been very, very difficult for me is that a friend of mine said that I care to a fault, which is not necessarily a good thing.
I understand.
And so my initial thought was, I need to be able to help.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, what I was going through at the time that I started finding out more about where he was, what was going on, and I knew who he was as a person, my initial thought was, I got to do something, I got to do something. And then I started talking with Bev about everything, and I realized my situation wasn't conducive to being able to help. I've got a brother who's closer who can, you know, do some things. And I had to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very, very difficult for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
I had a really hard time with that. But
Mm-hmm.
it would have made it worse for me, and it would have made it worse for everybody else had I jumped in and tried to do something.
Right.
And I think having that conversation with Beverly was key to my being able to get through that without it being, I think I always, that thought process in your head is, gosh, I'm going to be looked at like I'm a bad person if I don't jump in and help.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I had to learn. And
Mm-hmm.
it was so different from when my mom, I didn't have any choice but to help her
Mm-hmm.
because the situation was different. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to take a step back. And that was really, really hard to do. But with Bev's, you know, Bev and I have talked about it a lot. And I
Yeah.
think we've been very blessed to have each other to communicate with, because we're two women and I've got a family of boys, you know, and I had her to communicate with. My mom isn't here anymore, so I was able to communicate with her about that.
So are there times when I would say to Teri, I don't want to talk about Dad, Ken, until I tell you I want to talk about it anymore. And she would do the same for me. I don't want to talk, I don't want to hear anything about him until I say it's okay to continue. Was that about right?
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
mhm.
And that gave us the freedom between us to say, we always wanted to know what was happening.
Yeah.
And Beverly, I don't care what anyone says about anything. She has a humongous heart, and she cares very deeply about people. Yeah. And you know, without getting into, the idea is not to. This book is about Beverly. It's not about my dad. But I am very thankful for the relationship that we have, so that I can work through that time. And she could too. I mean, literally, Elizabeth, a lot of things came out that she wasn't even thinking about. Like, wait a minute. In the book, it talks about what ifs, you know, I don't think she'd really put that in perspective until we started writing the book. And then she had to think, wait a minute, we have to start looking at some things.
Yes.
That was really important.
Having the plan. And also, I love that. I just heard you say that you have boundaries, which is part of a healthy relationship.
Really hard for me.
Yes, I understand. And also totally understand that. And also I heard you say what you're in control of, realizing what you're in control of and what you're not in control of. And knowing the difference, because that will take the pressure off, and knowing what is your responsibility and what is not your responsibility. And also, like you said, as things come out, respecting someone else's perspective. Ultimately, it's his life. And you have to live your life, and it is okay if their plan or the way they want to live their life is different from what your plan or how you want to or need to live your life. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you someone who's not caring. It makes you a person that has a realistic perspective of the situation, and you're able to respond, not react accordingly. You both are solution oriented and fixers. So, and I totally get that.
Welcome to the club.
Yes, and really sometimes you do have to put the brakes on and being okay with that. And so, like you said, this book and how Beverly does it and how she reinvents herself and how she asks the important questions.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what people are going to find in this book, how to ask the important questions for yourself.
Well, and it's also, go ahead, Bev.
I have something that's kind of important relating to what you both are saying, that one of the things that I discovered helps me is writing.
Mhm.
Um, it might be writing about something going back to where Michael was so ill. I had a little notebook, a little used now they call it journal. And it was a little steno notebook, and in there I would write all the thoughts that I was having that was only for me. Nobody else was ever going to see this. I
Beautiful.
want to run away. Why is this happening to me?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I had that, and that really helped me during that period of time of writing about what I felt as though nobody else was ever going to see it. And so one day, um, I was trying to write a book about something else and I was stuck. And so I called my good friend Carol Hyatt in New York City, very best-selling author herself. We had met in one of our organizations, Women's Forum. Um, and I said, I can't get through it. I'm stuck. She said, Beverly, this is in her voice, Beverly, the reason you're stuck is because you're in the middle of it. If you can write about how you are dealing with what's happening to Michael, you have a story.
Yes.
That's her voice. And so I went back to my notebook and I sat down at the computer. And in a period of just a few days, I wrote a complete outline of a book, two sample chapters. I sent it to my friend Carol Hyatt in New York. Within 30 days, I had a contract to write the book called For Better or For Worse, A Couple's Guide to Dealing with Chronic Illness. I was paid to do that, a contract to write the book. And so it's the value of writing when when people are tired of listening to you, because they're tired of, what do you mean, poor me, poor me? It's some other person who's hurting. So I found that writing was a great solution for me to get through stuff.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And thank you for sharing that because that's what I coach people to do in my business is write because it's not just important. A lot of people don't understand that, grief and mourning is different. Grief is anytime there's change, there's a loss.
Hmm.
When there's a
Hmm.
lot of change, there's a lot of loss.
Hmm.
And the grief is the inner constellation of all the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings, the everything that's inside of you.
Hmm.
And if we don't get that outside of ourselves,
Hmm.
which is what mourning is, so the mourning is the writing. Because when you try to hold that inside,
Hmm.
it's going to make
Hmm.
you sick. And
Hmm.
like you said, we repeat over and over and over again what we're going through because we're reprocessing a different aspect of our loss, of our grief, of how we feel about that. We're discovering new things that
Hmm.
hurt and having the realistic perspective and doing something with that. I
Hmm.
love that because it's beautiful, powerful, life-changing, transformative mourning. When you can get it outside of you, you can get
Hmm.
it on a page and you can have a plan. You have a next step. God blessed you in that way to be able to do that. And even if someone's not going to be able listening to this, they're like, I don't know how to write a book. I don't know. That's not the point. The,
Yeah.
the the end is not really up to you necessarily in that
Hmm.
in that process. Getting it outside of you onto the page so that you can look at it. And I love keeping that because if someone will keep that in their journal, because as they move in their grief maturing, because in the beginning it's all of you, it takes over everything, and as you're able to process it and write it down, it becomes a rightful part of you because it matures, it grows up if you allow it and you do your work. That's part of the grief work, and it becomes a rightful part of you. And as you mature in your grief, meaning working through it, when you take that journal and you start to look at where you've been, you can actually see how far you've come.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
Hmm.
inspiring. Like, I can't believe I went through that. And I was able to do it. Because when you're in the middle of it, you don't know how you're going to do it. You have
Hmm.
not a clue. And so
Mhm.
it's okay. It feels so awkward. It feels like two left feet. It feels like, a duck out of water. It feels like how the heck am I going to do this? I don't know how to do this. I've never done it before. But you know what? There's hope. You're gonna do this.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
gonna find a way.
Mhm.
You're not always gonna feel this way. You're gonna be able to pick up that journal or book
Mhm.
and,
Mhm.
and see how far you've come. And because you did that, Beverly, because you did that with Beverly Terry, because you wrote this book, you're showing so many other people that they can go through the deepest, darkest pain over and over
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
over and over again, and you can still process it well. You can still be healthy.
Mhm.
It may not, like you said, the messy middle is like, oh.
I'll just share this. I'll try to keep this fairly brief. But when I wrote the book, I was going through all that I was going through, and I kind of said it was the worst time in my life so far. And in the last month, I have I broke my leg 4 months ago, so I was down for the count for 3 months with a cast on my leg in the middle of my living room. I had to put my second cat down. She's in heaven, and I realized that I needed to sell my house, and I did all that within a few months. And I'd been in my house for 22 years. My second cat was just she was my cats were everything to me. They were my children, and she was such a special cat. And I did that 2 days, the exact same day as her sister. I put them down on this exact same day, 2 years apart. And
Wow.
then I had and within 4 days I had to move out of my house because it's sold. And I'm actually renting a room from a friend of mine. And I have been crying every single day. But what I have learned from Beverly is this is another it'll probably happen again. My mom was the worst. There's no doubt in my mind that that's bar none the worst. But what I have done is I got here. I'm renting a room from one of my best friends to figure out what I'm going to do, and I'm getting that put into place. I
Mhm.
cried and cried and cried and cried and cried, and I cry every day. But I'm moving on a lot faster. I'm
Yeah.
getting healed a lot faster. I think Beverly was surprised because I said I got to check out for a couple of days, and I was back within a couple of days, not a week or 2 weeks. I was back, and I said, let's get back on the book. Let's get on it. I still cry every day, and I
Mhm.
mourn my house. I mourn my cat. I bawl my head off, but I'm getting back to functioning a lot faster, and that's something that I've learned going through this book.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I'm learning so much myself.
Well, we're here to teach each other, walking each other home, as Ram Dass says, right?
What's that?
We're just walking each other home.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
We're just walking each other home. And I'm so glad that you shared that it's okay to cry, because what we've been fed is strong, is it so misses the mark, and it
Mhm.
damages so many people and so many lives. I've watched people blow up themselves and the people around them because they think that stuffing that emotion, pulling themselves up by the bootstraps and just moving on, it does not work that way. That will
No.
break you, and it will
Mhm.
break your
Mhm.
relationships, because
Mhm.
those tears that you cry, and they've done research on this, and you would love this, especially you, Beverly, because you're a photographer.
Me
Look
too.
yeah, okay. Well, look up the what the tiers of emotion look like. They're beautiful patterns, just like a
Mhm.
snowflake. They all have different shapes and different forms, and they release the healing enzymes in your body. Our tears were given to us for a reason. They were the tool, one of the many tools that our divine creator gave us to help us get through the hard times, because it releases proteins, it releases enzymes, and it flushes the toxins. Because when we are grieving and mourning, we have stress hormones that flood our body. And so those tears actually help cleanse. That's why sometimes it's like we might be stuffed up and all of that because we've cried, but then we feel lighter because we have allowed ourselves to just clean all of those toxins out of our bodies. And it's not weakness, those are tears of strength. And I'm
Mhm.
so glad that you're sharing that with the audience, because it is an important part of how we heal if we allow ourselves to
Mhm.
Mhm.
heal with whatever. Lean in.
Mhm.
Like Bev says, have something to look forward to.
Mhm.
Right, right. Whatever is freeing your spirit and lifting you and helping you heal, that's your grief work, and it helps you get through it. not
Mhm.
around it, over it. Right? Like,
Right.
Plow right through.
walk through that tough stuff. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm so excited about this
Well,
book.
I
Okay.
wanted to add one more thing too, just really quick. As far as reinvention is concerned, is because people would ask me what I want to do when I move forward, and I have a pretty good idea of what that is. One of it was writing this book and then travel, and I said I don't want to go back to corporate world, but I have a focus now a little bit better, and saying, okay, I'm not stuck in what I was doing before, whenever anybody asks me, I say, I'm moving forward, and that is the reinvention. I'm reinventing. And you're doing the same thing, right, Elizabeth? I mean, you're reinventing your world, and that makes it exciting too, because you know what? There's so much out there. All that stuff is not, I'm sad about my house, I'm sad about my cat, I'm sad about my mom, but you know what? My mom would want me having a good life too.
Yes, exactly. You're balancing the two because one goes with the other. That's how we get through the tough stuff, is having something to look forward to, reinventing ourselves and seeing new ways and new possibilities of doing things. And I love how you captured that about Bev in this book because she just does it. It's just
Well,
so
that's an
cool.
important point, and I want Beverly to maybe address this, because you'll notice that there's a theme throughout the book of, and I have my own opinion,
Mhm.
and I think everybody should get their own opinion, and it shouldn't be answered by anybody. Let them figure it out for themselves how it is. But Beverly has something incredibly unique in how she handles things and how she moves through life. And you can see that in how she makes a decision and she sticks with it.
Yeah.
She doesn't go back and question it.
Mhm.
And that can be, Beverly, maybe you can talk about that a little bit more, because I think it's key to relationships, and it's key to business, and it's
Mhm.
key to a failure, and it's
Mhm.
key to success.
How do you do that?
Um, can I bring in maybe the topic of risk?
Yes.
RISKS. I think it fits right there.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay. Well, a lot of people have asked me about taking risks. They're afraid to take risk. They're afraid to take risk because what if it fails? And so I will. My theory on that is very simple. If you want something, obviously you ask about make it happen. But what if it doesn't work out? Then you take that risk. What I advise people to do, and I do myself, is I hear the pros if it works out. That's the good part. Here are the cons. That's the bad part. What if it doesn't work out? And all of the things relating to the what ifs of the what if it doesn't work. If you look at that list and you can say, what is the worst one of that list? What is the worst thing that you have written down? And if you can live with that worst thing, then you've made your decision to move forward.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's so hard for people to see because many people have been they either taught the message given or have internalized that um, failure is not an option. That
That's right.
and I think I love what you just said because it's not, and you see that throughout the book. It's not failure. If it doesn't work out, if your plan doesn't work out how you want it to work out, and the
Mhm.
beauty is you give the hope of like, what if it does? Then you
That's a good
keep pressing
point.
for, what if it does work out? We're so worried about, the fear of what if it doesn't work? What if it does work out? And if we can look at it like, what if this does, and encourage ourselves. But I think
Mhm.
part of that, like you said, taking the risk and seeing that if that plan doesn't work, that it's not a failure. And what would you say to someone who sees it as a failure, Beverly? What would you say about not succeeding in something that you've tried?
If you don't try, you've already failed.
Yes,
If you do
yes,
not try, you've already failed, and that will always be with you.
yes, yes. And I totally agree. And it might be scary, but that's okay. Fear is just a feeling, you know. It's
Mhm.
okay. And I
Mhm.
I also believe that if it doesn't work out, it's not a failure if you've learned something from it.
That's right. That's right.
What is the lesson in here? What have you learned from it? Because you can take that. It doesn't have to be negative. I think we're so used to negative thinking that it's hard to make that shift to the positive.
Well, it is, but that's why I say you identify all the things that might go wrong. And if you can live with the worst one, then you take a deep breath and say, I'm going for it.
I love that.
I'm going to make the decision. So
There's a
you've
great
already identified the worst thing that might happen. And you said, I can live with that.
Yes, you've accepted it. So you come to a point of accepting it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Accepting.
there's a great quote from someone that I interviewed in the book where she says one of the things about Beverly is that if she fails, she gets that beautiful chuckle going and just, oh well, next.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that, because some of us were given like, you have to do this, like you choose this career and then you have to do that the rest of your life. And then you retire from that. And then maybe in your retirement, you do a few hobbies. It's not a linear path and that's okay. I think it's much more interesting when it's
Right.
a linear path. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fixed mindset. I think we have to have a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
This is really important too, and Beverly can tell you a little bit about this, that she she reaches out to people that she knows are wanting to expand. I think she senses that about people. And it doesn't matter whether they want to become a grandmother and spend time at home with their baby, or they want to be the CEO of a great corporation. It doesn't matter what the answer is. She senses that they're missing something somehow. I mean, in the interviews that I did, it's amazing to me the different. I mean, it went from somebody who's had a very tough life and is, I have the chills right now. This gal, to some of her friends that are just amazing, and the things that she does in between. But Beverly is drawn to someone who is interested in making their life better, different, whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Oh my goodness. I've experienced that with Beverly, so that makes perfect sense.
So
And
you're right in there. She
yes,
saw it in you.
yes. I was reading it and I was like, this is my experience. Your story might be different, but the experience, the feeling of acceptance, the feeling of love, the feeling of I feel safe with Beverly. And I
It's a
think a lot
great
of
word.
people do. You feel safe. And when you feel safe and you can bounce ideas off, that gives you the security to explore things and think in ways that you haven't. And one of the things that you brought out in the book is how Beverly has this unique ability to see people differently than they see themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage everybody to go out and buy this book because I believe as you flow through the pages of this beautiful, interesting, amazing, crazy, awesome story that you will feel inspired to live your best life. You'll be inspired to to calculate the risk and then go for the gold. That you, without being in Beverly's presence through the pages that Teri, you have so beautifully poured out on the page, you take the journey with her and you then see yourself in your life in ways that you haven't before. And it gives you that hope, that encouragement, that inspiration to do something amazing with your life. You don't have to do the same thing over and over and over again if it's not a good experience. You can do something different, and that's okay. You make like making choice, it's your life. You make that not wrong.
Right.
Like somehow we feel like we've got to live life a certain way. You're like, about why not do it differently?
Well, now you just did the title of the book, which that happened to us all the time. We would be talking about something, well, okay, why not? And she'd start laughing. And I'd go, well, that's where, and it's like, why not? I mean, it really is amazing how often that comes up when you start talking about this stuff.
Yes, it's so true because most of us don't ask the question. Why? We've never thought to ask the question. And Beverly lives the question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah.
very good. Wow.
Yeah, you live the question and you invite us to do the same.
Well, that's what a lot of people say about when they work with her, when they're around her, is that I actually, and I do want to not give away too much because I do want people to read the book too.
Right,
But it
exactly.
is, but there is a thought process of I asked what somebody got from her, and the person said, I don't remember. I just remember the question.
Right.
Yeah, that was Rabbi Alicia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I knew that, but I was trying to
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
trying to be
And
sneaky.
the diversity of people that are in the book is amazing. You have an ability to reach across all ages,
Mhm,
all ethnicities,
mhm,
and meet the reader where they're at, the person where they're at, and encourage them. You're able to connect, which a lot of people don't have that ability to do. So whether we're with you in person or your reading audience, when you're reading this incredible book that Teri has so amazingly written and captured Bev's essence, you're going to go on that journey. You're going to be encouraged. You're going to be inspired. And I want you to get your copy. I want you to do it right now. The reason I say that is because in preparation for this interview, people, I pressed the button to get the book and it was out of stock. It is flying off the shelves. And I'm just amazed. And so I hold the book up. Somebody hold the book up.
This is my beat up copy here. Beat
That's
up. I've been reading it just a little bit.
just a little, isn't it? It's one of those must-haves, must-reads that you read over. It's a book that you not only immerse yourself in and go on a journey with, it is useful, practical advice that you can apply to everyday living, and you can live your best life. You
mhm,
can live the life that you've dreamed. And
mhm.
I'm going to ask both of you what we know the goal. Well, I don't know. Tell me the three main points that you desire for people to get out of this book. Go, Beth.
I will tell you in just a moment. Or Teri, if you want to go ahead. Okay. Okay, I got it right here. Okay. One is risk, how to decide whether you could move forward with something or not. I would like, with all the detours and roadblocks, if you have to decide if you want to move forward, then I want you to know how to do that. That would be one. The second would be well, actually, that's one and two. One is the risk and how to decide what you want to do, and the second is how do I do it? How do I do it? How do I get around the roadblock? How do I get around the pit pothole in the street? And the third is the story of always asking for you want. It would be the story of Indira Gandhi.
And I'm not going to let you share that because they've got to read the book. They just have
Mhm.
to get the book and understand, because I will say this, there were people around you that were like, nah, that's not going to happen. And you're like, watch me. Watch
um,
me.
yeah, and that's what makes it so classic is that just not listening to what anybody else said. I mean, listening to people, but not hearing them,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. She
Not
can listen, but
agreeing
she
with
just went
their
about.
assessment. Yeah,
Yeah,
not agreeing with
I I absolutely want people to have fun and read a good story about an amazing person. That
Good.
was my first goal when I first wrote the book, is that she's extraordinary and her story is fascinating. I still reread the book even though I wrote it. I mean, I really do, because I find her fascinating. Her life is very fascinating. That's number one for me, is really to enjoy the process of getting to know who she is and what she's been through, good, bad, in between, and all the people in her life. Her friends are amazing people. They're incredible people. They've done
And they're called
amazing
the
things.
Yagas, right?
Yeah. Um, and
Mhm.
then I, because I initially did not want to do a how-do book, that would be the most important thing for me up front, because I really want them to experience it. And that's why I can see it becoming something of a film, because you immerse yourself in the story. I can see it. I can envision it because I know her. I don't know her when she was 20 or 30, but I have pictures of her, and I can, because I know her personality, I can see what she was like. And I think that's so much fun. I want people to have a good time reading it. And we have a quote in the book. Um, is it okay if I just read that real quick? Because this would be the other
Absolutely.
reason.
Yes.
It is our greatest hope that within these pages you will find the light within you to become who you want to be, ask for what you want, dream bigger than you imagine, believe in yourself, and discover how to contend with the inevitable challenges, failures, and roadblocks that we all face. And
And
I think you can get some of that out of this book.
You absolutely can.
Mhm.
I read it. I was immersed in it. Do have the privilege of knowing Beverly, which made it even more fun. But you
Mhm.
don't have to know Beverly in order to get to know her and to take this journey with her and to be excited with her, to be sad with her, to cry with her, to laugh with her. I mean,
Mhm.
you have taken us on, you have captured her essence in this book and have really delivered, Teri. This is
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say. I really appreciate that.
it's an
That
amazing
means a
book,
lot.
and I know
Thank you.
people will absolutely love it. You're very welcome. It's the truth. People are absolutely going to love this. They're going to get a lot out of it, and they're going to want more. And we want to see that movie.
Terry has done a really wonderful job in all but 2 years of interviewing and sorting and turning it into something that is really very special.
Yes,
It
yes.
just happens to be about me.
Yes, what you said you were uncomfortable with, I hope you get more comfortable with that because it truly is fabulous. And I just wanted to thank you both for this time of I feel like it's a sacred space that we got to share together and to laugh and to talk about this beautiful creation, to talk about your life, Beverly, to talk about your success as an author, Teri. This is a great if this is your first one, what do you think for another?
I hope that the next subject isn't quite as complicated. It's not complicated, it is just a lot. And that's fabulous. It's a lot to work with, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as the organizing and trying to pick the piles and because there is so much. She is so rich. She's so deep. She's fun, sassy,
Yeah.
courageous,
Can I
courageous.
add one more little thing?
Of
This
course.
this this is also the third thing that I would say, and this is more to do with the family, is that um, this is my labor of love and gift to her family of who she is, and this is her legacy. This is her legacy, in my opinion. This is her
Yes.
legacy right here,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad that I can share that with her family, and her boys are part of that. You know, they're in here sharing. I just think that's very cool that
Yes,
she
I
can
think
have that.
yes, you have compiled, I wouldn't say a legacy, not memoirs necessarily, but really, yes, because I was thinking about that when I was reading it. I thought, what a treasure and a gift to have as your keepsake, to have as your, whether it's mom, friend, you know, grandmother, it's her legacy, and it is so. It's amazing. I mean, I just, as I was pouring through the pages, like, who gets to do all this stuff?
Well, she said, "Why not?" and asked for what she wanted.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Try it. You'll love it.
That's how I'm moving forward. Like I said, season one, episode one of Wow, something I've been doing for a long time happened today here with you two. That's a gift for me. And I thank you for giving this gift to us of Beverly's legacy because we have it. This will go on in generations to come to inspire people. And when I get my store up and running on my website, right now we have a link so that people can get it on Amazon. So
Cool.
you go to www.healwellandthrive.com. There's a button that you can click to go ahead and purchase the book. And later on, I'm going to be able to recommend it as a resource for my clients because
Mhm.
I can coach them all day long. But when they have an example of how to do it,
Mhm.
done. It's
Well,
done.
you are obviously fabulous, Elizabeth, and I'm so glad to get the chance to meet you and for you to be. My heart is full having this conversation. It means the world to me that you feel this way and you're willing to share it. That means so much to me. You have no idea.
Well,
I'm
it's
very
one of my
grateful. Very
great.
grateful.
You are very, very welcome. It's my pleasure because it's hard to find fun resources for people to work through their hardship. It doesn't. And some people will shy away from, coaching, getting coaching through grief because they think it's going to be heavy. And it's really not. I teach people how to lean in, how to lean out,
Mhm.
and this is such a great resource because Bev shows you how to do that. She shows you how
Absolutely.
she did it. She shows you that it's possible. She shows you that you can do this. You can. You don't have to be Beverly to do this. She gives you the tools just by the way she's lived her life and the way that you've captured it on the pages. This is an inspiring work. And I can't wait to share it with others. That's why we're doing this interview.
You're going to make me cry.
I am, I am, I am, I am internally grateful, Elizabeth, to how what you have done and what you are doing, and I just adore you. And so I think just feel blessed that this has become a part of you, and now you have us as family.
I do. And that's now I'm going to cry. That's, yes, I feel that. I feel that there's this connection and
Mhm,
it's real.
mhm.
And you don't find a lot of authenticity in this
Mm,
world. A lot
true.
of people
Very true.
wearing a mask, sometimes from insecurity, sometimes just other people can't handle what they're going through with their emotions. And Beverly's able to absorb that, and she's comfortable with it all because she's lived it. And
Hmm.
you are too, Teri. And she's showing you and encouraging you as well, and me. And just because I do this for a living doesn't mean I have it all figured.
No. Haven't you ever heard the philosophy? A lot of people who do what you do it because of what they've been through. I mean, that's how
Yeah, that's
you've
good. That's
experienced it.
good. That's good. That's very
That's
good.
actually exactly why I do
Mhm,
it.
mhm,
Because I
mhm,
want other people to know that they can make it through.
mhm,
I've
mhm,
gone through adversity myself. Lost my brother. He
Mm.
was born with spina bifida. He was paralyzed from the waist down, living with a chronically ill child, being born into a grieving family like you were, Bev. Your mom had had a number of miscarriages. So are born into that. And so there's this sadness around you. And so you find those pockets of joy that come with your relationship with God, or that come from the joys through each day, to look at the positive. One of the things that my family really used to make it through adversity was laughter. Like seeing the most ridiculous things. And my brother, God bless him, he was great. He would just say it out loud. I mean, he would say all the stuff that everybody else in the room was thinking but wouldn't say. He could call you in and you just go, well, I can't say that he's wrong. And so you can make it through this stuff, and we're doing it together. And I am so thankful to you both. Thank you for being willing, Beverly, to allow Teri to write your story, because it is truly a gift to all of us, and for many, many people. Anybody that picks this up is going to be inspired.
Mwah.
Mm.
Mwah.
Thank you. Thank you both. Is there
Thank you.
anything else? How do people get in touch with you?
You can reach me at I am at TeriRiRouse.com. That's my email. And I do have a website at terirouse.com, same name. And I go by Teri Leigh Rouse. That's my pen name, so to speak, to distinguish myself a little bit from some others that have similar names. Bev and
Right.
I discussed that, and and I like it because my mom would be very happy that that's what I went with. She always called me Teri Leigh.
Mhm,
Oh, I love
mhm, mhm.
But that's the way they reach me, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions anybody has, or guide them accordingly. Beverly's the master with the mind, and so she can let you know where you can reach her if she'd like to be able to have you do that.
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to reach me. Yeah, it really would be. Yeah,
Okay, and there's links on my website at healwellandthrive.com. I have
good.
two links. I have a link when you go to the landing page. I have the book, Why Not? Always Ask for What You Want. And if you here, you go to Teri's website, and if you go down to where Bev is, and it highlights and says some amazing things about you that Teri has written. And then when you click that, you can buy the book. and it takes you directly to Amazon to buy the book. So thank you, ladies, so much for our time together. And I love you both. I love that I have lifelong friends in my life that you're quality people, and I'm so excited.
God is
You,
good.
you are so loved. You are so loved. And Teri is so loved as well. So I'm in a good place here.
It's a love fest. It's a love fest.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah. My boys aren't going to believe it.
I love it. I love it. I love what they said about you in the book.